Hey guys, welcome to our weekly Topaz stream. Hope you guys are all having a great day and a great week. I got lots to talk about today. Today we're going to talk about the vault incident that occurred pretty much exactly a week ago. We're going to talk about what we're doing about that, what the next steps are, and exactly what happened. After that, we're going to be talking some Topaz strategy, kind of where we stand, what to expect in the short and longer term, and, kind of what the team's up to and what the community could be doing to improve the future outlook of Topaz. Then finally, we're going to talk about just some of the recent releases that we've done and what to look forward to next. So yeah, let me know how you guys are doing. Let's get some comments going in the chat, and I'll definitely be sure to answer any questions or comments that come up. And yeah, let's just jump right into this. So we did have an unfortunate incident last week. It happened actually right before the AMA, so I didn't really have a lot of time to look into it before the AMA. So I wish I could have talked about it a little bit more on the last AMA last week at this time, but I'll do that now. As you guys all know, I'm a big believer in transparency, honesty, and 100%, just being honest with the community and obviously always looking out for the community's best interests. So this, what happened with the vaults actually took me by surprise. As you guys know, I'm not a fan of changing things that aren't broken. I like to work with battle-tested code. I like, the more a code base has been used in the past, the more I trust in it generally. And I guess that is somewhat of a fault that occurred this time that allowed an incident with the vaults to happen. So what happened overall is the very first time I launched auto compounding vaults was back in early 2022, and I had actually forked Beefy Finance to create those auto compounding vaults. Oh, we got some comments coming in. Great. Voting page is lagging. It's difficult for me to vote. Okay, interesting. So we did a ton of front end updates. Those updates really should have made performance a lot better. I'm interested to see if other people are having the same issue. So if you guys are noticing, and I'd say it's in the last week that we've pushed these updates out. It's been about a week, so let me know if you guys have noticed better performance on pages like the voting page and the liquidity page, or if it's worse, then I'll definitely look at those changes that we made. And we're actually using like more APIs and less on-chain calls, so it's costing us more money, but it should be giving you guys way better performance. But if that's not the case, then I'll definitely look into that. Performance for me is greatly improved. Okay, that's good. So that's shows that our efforts have been paying off for some people. I'd love to get more comments on that though, just to know if, because I mean, I did like a whole rewrite on, especially the liquidity page, how we're like getting the whole list of pools and the gauge APRs, and I tried to really balance keeping all the data that needs to be real time, still using on-chain calls, but then I moved a lot of the data that doesn't need to be real time into like being indexed by subgraphs, and we introduced a brand new subgraph, and we're using that to get a lot of data. So yes, performance should be better. I voted the regular way and it worked great. Yeah, history, maybe you can give us more specifics, or maybe it's something specific to your device that's causing you those issues if everybody else seems to have no problem or they've noticed the performance improvements. I'm actually kind of curious, did that issue just crop up in the last week, or has that kind of always been the case for you? But anyways, we can talk about that more a little bit later on. So anyways, back to the vaults. Real quick, when epoch ends, when does new epoch start? So we're always in an epoch, right? So when the epoch flips, it goes from one epoch directly into the next epoch. I think maybe what you're more asking about is like when voting starts. There is no voting for the final hour of the epoch or the first hour of the next epoch. So you got like a 1 hour buffer on each side of the epoch flip using a mobile device. Yeah, I mean, it should work fine on mobile or desktop. I know that there is a lot of resources on some of those pages. Like there's a lot of different, we have a lot of gauges now. We have a lot of pools. So, a mobile device doesn't have quite the horsepower of modern PCs. So I know newer, some phones are super crazy fast, but yeah, I mean, I think that a mobile device could potentially struggle more on some of those really heavy pages. But anyways, let's get back to the vaults. I want to get through this. So basically what happened is we had based our vaults on beefy finance vaults. One specifically that was called, what was it called? Something like a strategy for velodrome aerodrome, right? Which, because we're very closely based on aerodrome. So this is the vault that naturally made sense for us to use for our auto compounding vaults. So what ended up happening is we basically used a verbatim copy of this. Well, actually not verbatim. There was a couple minor updates that had nothing to do with the issue that we experienced. But just to make a long story short, I guess, there are a lot of checks in the vault related to like depositing, withdrawing, things of that nature. And one of the checks is that the price has to be calm. So it looks at like a time weighted average price. And essentially, you guys might have noticed this on some of the more volatile vaults, but you actually couldn't deposit into a vault well, actually withdrawing wasn't gated. That was a problem, but you couldn't deposit into a vault if the price had fluctuated recently. Now that protection is supposed to exist on the withdraw as well. And Beefy Finance actually has another strategy called the Uniswap V3 strategy. And again, these are all concentrated liquidity strategies. So essentially the Uniswap V3 strategy that they was updated more recently than the Aerodrome strategy. And the Uniswap V3 strategy actually had the protection on the withdraw. So without the protection on the withdraw, it made it possible to deposit while the market was calm and then manipulate the price. And then because there was no guard on withdrawing when the price was not calm, it allowed, basically under very specific market conditions, it allowed basically somebody to drain some funds from the vault. And that was all due to essentially an is calm check missing from the withdrawal. So essentially the solution is that we need to, update our vaults to be based on the Uniswap V3 variant, which was updated more recently. What we're going to do as well is we're going to actually patch the Aerodrome named strategy vault, and we're going to do a pull request to Beefy just to basically submit that back to them, just so if anybody does look at this code base in the future, they'll, have hopefully Beefy accepts the pull request, and that way if anybody does fork that code in the future, they will have that update and won't experience that same issue. So, I do want to take some responsibility for this. I think I maybe got a little bit too comfortable in my, just my ease around battle-tested code. I've used that term so many times in the past. It's, again, I really strongly believe in, code that has had, big volumes of funds move through it. But I will take some blame there for not looking more closely at it and just maybe trusting it a little too much just because of the source of it, because it came from Beefy Finance. So essentially, what happened is all of our concentrated liquidity vaults, they all were missing this check. So 3 of our vaults were attacked. The biggest loss was on the Solana USDT vault. The combined losses were not huge. The combined losses were around like $18,000. So the protocol is going to be 100% compensating all users. What we're also going to be doing is I've already got the vaults 100% ready to redeploy. I've got the compensation contract already drawn up. So essentially that's going to go into effect today. So anybody that was impacted, so we already have the full list of every single impacted user and the exact amount to the penny that you were impacted by. So first things first, anybody that's in the concentrated liquidity vaults, we are going to be redeploying them today. They're all ready to go. So you're going to want to withdraw anything. So, if we look at TVL in the concentrated vaults, we still got 3.5K in the Zcash USDT. All of these vaults are paused, so they're not making any money, right? So there's no point to remain in these vaults now. You should just pull your funds out of these vaults because, again, we're going to be redeploying all of these with the fix. So these are all currently paused and they're not even in the LP right now. So the funds are just kind of sitting there in the vault waiting for all the users to withdraw their funds out. And again, just to clarify, this is strictly for the concentrated liquidity vaults. Our volatile LP vaults, which is our 2 Topaz vaults, the Topaz USDT and the Topaz BNB, which are basic volatile for the full range vaults. Those are not impacted at all. They didn't have the issue. We're not going to be redeploying those. So those are perfectly safe. So if you have funds in these, you can keep them there. You can keep adding to those vaults. Nothing changing with those 2. So again, going back to the concentrated ones, if you are one of the holders that still has funds in any of these vaults, even though only 3 of them were impacted, they all do potentially have that vulnerability in them. So again, all of these were paused. These will stay paused. There will be a second set deployed that will be 100% safe to the best of our knowledge. And those are the vaults that you're going to want to use. So we'll make it obvious on the site here. What we'll probably do is we'll probably just hide all of the previous ones unless somebody actually has deposits in them, and then make it really easy for you to get those funds out and just kind of have our new fixed vaults up there and easy to find. So you guys can expect that to all get done today. And as well, there will be basically we're going to do a check. So like if you had any losses in the vaults, once you connect your wallet, you're going to see something come up that shows like how you can access the compensation, and you'll be able to claim your full losses that you experienced. So looking forward to getting that out of the way. Really happy that this, we noticed this early on in the protocol. This could have been a lot more dangerous if our vaults had a lot more TVL when this was discovered. So losses were quite limited, which is a good thing, and we're going to be able to get this fully addressed and get rid of the vulnerability, and everything will be smooth sailing moving forward in terms of the vaults. Let's catch up on some of these comments. Had an issue voting with the AI wallet when it came to the two-factor would not let me use the passkey. You know what's funny? Actually, I experienced a similar issue, and let's talk about that real quick. With this update, will there be a link to the vault on the main page, or more testing needed? Yeah, so great question there. I'm going to get back to you in a second, Cordis Crypto. So so basically I was planning on putting the link to the vaults last week, but because obviously we had this issue, there was not much point to get more visitors to the vault until we deployed our updated vaults. So yeah, we will 100% be putting a link into the vaults page once those new vaults are deployed. So back to this question real quick. So I actually set up multi-factor authentication. So this is related to Topaz ID. One sec. There was a sharp price volatility earlier. Can you speak on that? I'm not sure what you mean. If you can give more clarity on that question, I'll be happy to talk about it. But price volatility on what exactly? I don't think there was too much volatility on Topaz, unless I missed something. So I basically had this same issue last night with one of my Topaz ID wallets, and I actually just removed the passkey just because it was easier. But so the problem is that when you create a passkey, the passkey is associated with a single domain, right? So where I went wrong, or like what created a difficulty for me, was that I created my passkey on the ai.topazdex.com domain. But when I go to use my Topaz ID on any of our other sites that allow login with Topaz ID, when I go to do multi-factor authentication with the passkey, it says, oh, you don't have a passkey for this site, right? So I'm going to have to look at Privy and what the best practices are for implementing passkeys, because clearly for a Topaz ID passkey, the domain should always be the same, meaning that like you should always be able to use that same passkey no matter what site that you're actually using. So actually, I know exactly the person I should discuss this with, but I'm actually quite confident I know the solution to this, but it is going to require a small change of how our Topaz ID works in a couple of our sites. Because this is actually a good example. So this is our id.topazdex.com site, which I actually want to show a couple features to you guys today, but I'm going to talk about that later in the AMA. But what you can see here is like this actually allows you to fully manage your Topaz ID right from this site, right? Like so id.topazdex.com. So if I were to set up multi-factor authentication right down here, so if I do a passkey, it's going to be associated with id.topazdex.com, which is all right if I'm trying to interact with this site, but that doesn't help me if I'm over on the main Topaz Dex dApp and I go to submit a transaction and it says, oh, use multi-factor authentication. And then I go to use my passkey and my computer or my phone says, oh, you don't have a passkey for this site. So again, I'm sure there's a good way to fix this. Actually, let me check something real quick. If we go to our Topaz vaults, so this is, even though the connection option here looks identical to our other dApps, this is actually using like our partner connect package. So this is using this is using like the more standard way, I guess, of connecting. Oh, oops. So this actually is showing a pop-up that you guys can't see right now. But so anyways, I'm probably talking about this a little bit too much, but anyways, to answer this question, I'd say for now, try to remember which site you use to set up that passkey, and then you'll be able to access it to either add another form of multi-factor authentication, like authenticator app that you can use from any site. I'd suggest just in the short term, just maybe refrain from using passkey as your only multi-factor authentication option, just until I consult with Privy and find the best practices, because clearly that that passkey has to be associated with a single domain in order for it to work on all the different Topaz ID sites. So that's probably going to be like our I think it's privy.topazdex.com is like our official like subdomain for our Privy integration that we've set up. So it'll likely be something along those lines. But yeah, it was actually fun because I don't know if actually I'd call it fun, but last night I was trying, it was actually a bit of a funny story. So I had on one of my Topaz IDs that I was just using for testing, I set up multi-factor authentication with the passkey and also with Authenticator app. And then I removed the Authenticator app, and now the only way that I was able to actually authenticate anything was using the passkey. And every device that I tried kept saying there's no passkey. So then I started thinking, I was like, you know what, maybe it's, because I remember it said there's no passkey for this specific domain. So I was like, you know what, I must have set this up on the AI wallet, because that was like our main service that we had with Topaz ID at first. So then sure enough, I went to ai.topazdex.com, and all of a sudden my passkey was available there. So I was able to use that to then remove the passkey multi-factor authentication. So hopefully with that information, you'll be able to figure out your passkey situation and maybe just remove it for the short term. But yeah, there will be a solution for that. Okay, cool. So you did have the Authenticator app set up as well. So that's good. Yeah, maybe, you know what, maybe until we get that figured out, I'll just remove passkey as a multi-factor authentication option. Like it will still work for anyone that has it set up. But also another issue with LP managed by Topaz AI. Want me to post here or in TG? I mean, if it's a general question that everybody can benefit from, you can post it here. If it's something like specific where like I need to look into it, perhaps that's better in TG. I'll leave that up to you to figure out. Yep, so just to conclude on the vaults, I think actually we had already concluded on it, but yeah, compensation will be available today via contract. So if you are an impacted user, you will see a banner near the top that lets you basically click to go over to a compensation page where you will be able to claim, the exact dollar amount of losses that you incurred through the vault. And again, luckily it was something that happened early in the life of the vaults before we had even started advertising them on the main site. So losses were limited, which is great. So we're able to, kind of fully cover that from the protocol. Just the compound withdraw buttons don't work, pops up an error. Okay, let's actually test that right now. So I should have in this account some positions. This is a Topaz ID. Yep. Okay, so these are all Topaz AI positions. So let's take this one, and you said compound and withdraw buttons don't work. Looks okay to me. So that was withdraw to wallet. Again, I didn't really get many details from you, but I'm assuming you're talking about using Topaz AI like Prizm within our main DApp. You also said compound doesn't work. Mine gives an error for the Sol and USDT pool. Let's just try and set that up then. Let's go new conversation. Say use 0.1 BNB to zap into the Sol USDT pool. So let's get in there and then we'll test it out. Actually, I guess, you know what, something I wasn't really planning on talking about today in too much detail was just Topaz Prizm and just how the whole AI system works, because I've had some general questions about it. I think it'd probably be good to answer some of those questions. Can I post the error? Yeah, sure, why not? Go for it. I mean, again, if this is something that, like, I don't know if maybe we should be troubleshooting this in private. It doesn't seem to be a widespread problem, so it seems to be something pretty specific to your situation there. But I mean, if you want to post the error, then why not? So here we're in USDT Sol. You said that you could not withdraw and you could not compound. So let's try and compound. I mean, I'm not going to have like hardly any rewards right now. Where does it show that? Also, actually, we're not showing the total amount of rewards in this view on the AI owned positions. I'll have to update that. But compound rewards, it's going to unstake, swap in, swap to those. Yeah, looks good. Yeah, so I'm not sure, I can't reproduce that issue, but definitely I want to make sure everything's working smoothly for everyone on all positions. I saw this on CoinGecko. Topaz drops amid confusion. Yeah, I think that that's just some AI. They just tried to fit two things together that weren't really related. I think that's kind of a couple weeks old, that article too. I saw that. When I click compound, I get this, something went wrong. I don't know. I'd suggest doing a hard refresh, and I mean, I can look into it further after. There's not much I can really do with just the error saying something went wrong, especially when it's, you know, I'm demonstrating for you right here that it's just working in a regular setup. I can't reproduce the issue, so I'm gonna need more specifics from you and what might be different with your setup than what I'm doing right here. But yeah, we can talk about that after the stream. So I got quite a few other things to discuss. So let's jump right into, I think the most important thing that I'm going to talk about today is what I'll jump into right now, which is essentially Topaz strategy, something that I've talked about in the past, but I think it's something that's really critical to talk about, especially at this stage of the protocol decks, and being about slightly over 2 months into the protocol. I think it's really important for everyone to understand that VE33 dexes, what we're doing essentially is we are giving users our token in emissions in exchange for the protocol and the VE Topaz holders essentially, obviously voting and dictating emissions, and then receiving those trading fees, all the fees from, all the staked LP positions. Now, it's very common for VE33 dexes to go through, kind of what we're going through right now with the Topaz token price, because basically we need to get over this, essentially this hump where, basically we need to prove our ability to stick around, our ability to continue to generate volume, our ability to continue to generate fees and continue to gain momentum. And that's, essentially what we need to keep demonstrating. And, our volume has, we passed over 1 billion volume. We're over 1.1 billion now. Fee generation has been quite stable. We're, trying a couple different strategies in order to get fee generation up with our current volume. I did a test last week and I got mixed results with it. It didn't, it helped in some areas, hurt in some others. So on the fence if I revert that test or just maybe leave it a little bit longer, but got a few other things up my sleeve to increase our fee generation based on our current volume levels. But essentially, it's something where the longer that we stick around, and obviously we don't plan on going anywhere. We're going to be sticking around, indefinitely. This is a forever project, like I've said many times in the past. The longer that we are around, the more confident others will be in buying Topaz and locking it for 4 years. Of course, the main use case for Topaz is buying it to lock it for VE Topaz, to have ownership in the protocol, to get a piece of the protocol fees. If we go to our voting page, you'll see that, I mean, this week is a little bit of an exception because we have a little bit of higher fees on one of these pools, but just to show you guys an example, like we have $16,000 of rewards. I think last epoch it was like 12,000, so it wasn't drastically different. I mean, the current value of our emissions per week right now are, at around 0.001, which I believe the price is around right now. The total value of our emissions per week is like 13,000, right? And that's just because we're in that bootstrap phase where the emissions are growing. I mean, it's going to be starting to come down soon. So I mean, we based on our current rewards and our current emissions, we're doing over 100% return annually on, locked VE Topaz at the moment, which is great. I mean, people are happy to buy Arrow and get a 20 or 30% return. But again, like, because they've been around longer and they've demonstrated their ability to, get volume and get fees, it allows people to feel more comfortable in that investment where they don't need to get as high of a return to be confident to, keep pouring funds into buying Arrow, locking it for VE Arrow, and continuing to earn voting rewards that way. So, the longer that we are around, the less premium that investors will require in order to be comfortable to buy Topaz and lock it. So it's a bit of a game of time. It's the team has to keep pushing hard. The community has to keep pushing hard. Ideally, we get some sort of catalyst, such as like major partnership, a major listing, the market's turning around. Any of these things or multiple of these things happening would be absolutely insane for Topaz. In the meantime, while we're, obviously we don't control when a bull market comes, but, we are doing everything in our power to continue to make as many partnerships as we can and continuing to get as much value as possible out of our existing partnerships. We're, trying to work closer and closer with BNB Chain and other Binance entities. We recently got on Binance Wallet. That's pretty exciting. Actually, Nick recently got us on OKX Wallet, not only on OKX Wallet, but also they're going to be aggregating our pools and routing through us. So that was a huge accomplishment from Nick. I think that was just in the last couple of days that he got that done. So, we keep pushing to, expand our reach, to integrate with more partners. Obviously my main focus is I'm, keep building, I keep improving our offerings. I'm making things easier with Topaz ID. And again, just with the AI offerings, we're continuously improving those to make it so that users can, we want to expand our target market, right? So we want, not only the experienced DeFi users to get into Topaz, we want to also be able to take on newer crypto users. And, Topaz ID is kind of reducing the barrier to entry for anyone that, wants to come jump on Topaz and start earning by being a liquidity provider or even just conducting their swaps through Topaz. Topaz ID making it simple to onboard, and then Topaz Prizm making it easy to kind of interact with the protocol any way that you want or get any information that you want. Yeah. So, so again, the team, what we're doing is we keep, integrating with more partners, getting the most value out of our partners. We keep building, and actually right now we are getting prepared for a major hackathon. The hackathon, so again, this is why we created that 44 project, just to kind of demonstrate what is possible with building on top of Topaz. So what you guys can expect from the hackathon is a massive amount of awareness being raised around Topaz. These hackathon platforms are quite large. We should get quite a lot of participation in the hackathon, so that just that in itself, getting announced by the hackathon main company or project that manages these things, the awareness that we'll get being listed on that site, and from everybody that's excited about getting involved with it, is going to get a lot more eyes on Topaz, which is going to be really beneficial with all the new things that we've built into Topaz. And it's going to also expand our ecosystem, right? So we're going to have new dApps that are going to be listed in the Topaz ID hub. There's something actually I'm going to go over in this AMA. We've had quite a few updates to Topaz ID, and another huge update coming soon that's pretty exciting. But yeah, it's going to expand our ecosystem, getting a lot of projects built. And, we're going to have a bunch of guys competing for a prize, and, really excited to see what everybody can build. And it's going to be something where anybody can participate, right? Like, we've had a lot of our community build great projects on top of Topaz. We've had a great launch pad already built. We've got a lot of informational tools and bots that have been built. It's just overall, it's just very easy to build on top of Topaz with the Topaz agent skill. And as well, like, it's very easy to build on top of Topaz, in that, like, even just a dApp that integrates Topaz ID is going to be something that, it's not going to be the best track of the hackathon, because it's not a super deep integration, but it is something that we are going to allow people to do, is to just build with Topaz ID. And that's going to be something that is potentially counted for in the hackathon. Obviously we're going to prefer stuff that integrates deeper with Topaz, whether that be through an innovative use of the liquidity pools, or an innovative strategy that involves voting or gauges, or there's just really an unlimited number of potentials. Like if you give me an hour, I can come up with like 30 completely different ideas of how you could build something innovative on top of Topaz. So I expect to see all kinds of innovative stuff once we launch this hackathon. So that's going to be coming soon. We just got to get all the details worked out and actually get the campaign created. But I definitely expect more news about that next week. Are there any plans for sex listing for Topaz? Yeah, I mean, we don't have like a concrete like timeline for it, but it's something that we're definitely interested in and will pursue when the time is right. We've got some great guys on the team that are well connected with a lot of the centralized exchanges, and yeah, it's something where we're not going to rush it and do it at the wrong time, but definitely something that we're open to and we'll definitely be doing at some point. So again, so just to kind of finish up this topic here about strategy, actually one thing I wanted to say real quick here is if we just look at like the aerodrome chart when they launched and like the Athena chart when they launched, you can see that they were for quite a while, they were, from September until, late February, they were kind of, just going kind of sideways. And you'll notice that they took off in March of 2024. If you look at the price of Ethereum, I got it kind of started here at, July 2023. Ethereum went from 1,500 to like 5,000, right? Or 4,000 there. Yeah, like a little over 4,000. And this was like early 2024. So they had a big bull market basically that, really helped accelerate this because obviously there's a lot more volume, there's a lot more excitement. Bull markets are really beneficial for DEXs because obviously there's a lot more volume when people are excited about crypto and there's a lot more trading happening, there's a lot more excitement and volume going on overall. So it's beneficial for a DEX and the DEX primary token in many, many ways. So, basically like the point of what I'm saying is that, we basically just have to weather the storm. We got to all be doing our part. The team keeps building, the team keeps raising awareness, the team keeps making partnerships and making the most of everything that we can in the current situation. What we need the community to be doing is to be talking about Topaz as much as possible, to be, supporting Topaz and the Topaz price, right? We all know Topaz is undervalued here. We've done 1.1 billion in volume, and we've only been around for just barely over 2 months. Topaz is extremely undervalued here. Right now you can get in at 20% of the price that people were paying from prior to when Topaz launched to get VE Topaz. And that doesn't even factor in the 25% bonus you can get on top. So it is really an incredible time. I think that, we've demonstrated our ability to really execute in our plans. We had a bootstrap plan when we came out with Topaz and it went exceptionally well. I didn't think we'd be at 1 billion volume this early. So, I think everything's going, other than the broader markets not being the greatest, I think, as far as what we're doing, everything's going according to plan. So, there's a lot of guys were bullish for good reason early, before Topaz launched. And I think all those reasons that people were bullish before, there's even more reasons to be bullish now. So, basically, the best way the community can support is, again, just, if you're an LP provider, take those Topaz rewards, lock them up instead of selling them. As well as, any extra capital, I'd say, buying Topaz here and locking it and getting that 25% bonus is, I think one of the better investments that you can make in the space. We're going to keep delivering, and yeah, Topaz at these levels is a no-brainer. And it doesn't take much buy pressure to really push Topaz up. So, it just takes one or two semi-sized whales, and next thing you know, we are going to do a 5x from here. It doesn't even take, to be honest, one medium-sized whale would put us at those levels. So, the question is, if you don't have as much VE Topaz as you'd like to have, which, I don't think anybody has enough VE Topaz, you can never have too much. It's going to pay you out once a week for the rest of your life. This is the time to pick it up before another whale comes before you and, decides to buy some Topaz, and next thing you know, the price is, up multiples from where it is currently, and, we never see these low levels again. So take advantage of the opportunity while you can. And again, most important thing is that, when you have VE Topaz, you're fully aligned with the team. The team is holding VE Topaz, the protocol's holding VE Topaz. We all want to generate fees and, be as beneficial for VE Topaz as possible. So, one thing I've learned is that being aligned with the team is, a great position to be in. And the best way you can be aligned with the team is having as much VE Topaz as possible. So, yeah, so I just wanted to show you guys the early days of Aerodrome, and obviously they're a giant on base. Athena, let's look at their launch, right? So, until they got their Binance listing, their token price wasn't doing too much. It was, some ups and downs. And then, they went from, a couple cents to $4 when they got their Binance listing. So, this is something where, again, we're in contact with Binance. We're in contact with BNB Chain team, and, we're going to be doing everything that we need to do to, have listings happen for us as well. And I think that, the extra awareness that we get from a listing would be extremely beneficial. So it's something that we're definitely pursuing. But yeah, I mean, it's just, any protocol like ours in these market conditions, especially being as new as we are, we're going to have a turbulent token. This is to be expected. Would I like the token price to be higher? Of course, I think everybody would, but I think this is, a perfectly normal thing for us to expect in these market conditions at this age of the protocol. So I think it should definitely be looked at as an opportunity and a buying opportunity as opposed to a problem. It's, it's something, again, it just, with time, it'll get corrected as we have more history behind us, as we've demonstrated our ability to, to continue to operate and to grow over time. It's just going to continue to get better and better. So a couple more things I want to talk about. So Topaz Prizm, we've already had some talk about that and some discussion. So I just really wanted to go over real quick, like how Topaz Prizm works and, how you can get started with it essentially. And actually, I'd love to get some feedback from you guys, from everyone watching the stream right now, or anybody that's watching this after the fact recorded. If you want to jump into the Telegram and give us some feedback, I'd like to know how well is Topaz Prizm working out for you guys? Like, is there confusion around, like, because I've seen there hasn't been too many questions about it. So I feel like it's fairly straightforward. But for anyone that's new to using AI or Topaz AI, just wondering, like, how straightforward it's been for you guys that are jumping in, and if you're just so confused on how it works that you haven't even bothered to try it. I'd really love a lot of feedback about this, just because that's going to show me what direction we have to build, what direction we have to go in terms of getting people more comfortable with Topaz AI and how to use it. So one of the questions that I did get is, do I have to fund my AI wallet? Now, I can understand where that question comes from, and maybe we need to do something about this to make it more simple and easy to understand. But essentially, the way that Topaz Prizm works, and it works the same as our AI wallet for anyone that use that extensively. We kind of took the AI wallet from ai.topazdex.com, and we brought it over to our main DApp with a whole bunch of improvements. So we're actually going to be kind of phasing out the ai.topazdex.com. We're going to bring all that functionality over to the main DApp. And again, this already has all the functionality and a lot more. So yeah, we will be phasing out the ai.topazdex.com site at some point in the future. But essentially, the way that it works is it wants to keep assets in your main wallet unless there's like a reason for it to keep it in your what's called the Topaz AI wallet, right? So the Topaz AI wallet is a smart contract that's associated with your main wallet, and the purpose of it is that it allows Topaz Prizm or Topaz AI to do advanced operations on your holdings in a single transaction. So again, maybe it'll make more sense if I kind of go back to the history of like why this was set up in this way. I think this might help you guys understand it better. So the thing is that I wanted it to have the AI so that you were able to prompt the AI for any kind of intricate transaction, and basically have the AI able to propose a transaction where you still have to like look through it and see if this is like what you actually want to be doing, and you have to execute the transaction yourself. So the AI doesn't have any control over your funds. The AI can just simply see your positions, see what you want to do, and then it has the tools available to be able to say, okay, you want to swap this, and then you want to lock the Topaz, and you want to compound, and you want to, withdraw from this position and zap it into something else. It can string all of these things together because of the extra smart contract that we have that's associated with your wallet. You really don't need to understand the intricate details of a lot of this to use it. I guess the simplest way to put it is, like, if you're doing something like, let's play around with some transactions just to give you guys an idea. And I will say voting is probably the weakest point of Topaz Prizm at the moment. I asked Prizm about voting and said my lock must first be moved into the Topaz account before voting. So yeah, so that's a good example, right? So I guess the best way to explain this is that positions that are in your actual wallet, whether that's like a Topaz ID wallet or a regular like EOA, like that you know use MetaMask or Rabby to control. The main difference is that when a position's in your wallet, the AI, while it could propose transactions, it can only you can only execute one thing at a time. Like imagine, I think probably the best example is if you're managing an LP position yourself, if you want to compound rewards, what do you have to do? Well, first you have to claim rewards, although you'll notice that when I compounded earlier, it didn't actually claim, it just unstaked. Because when you unstake a position, it automatically claims, and you have to unstake anyways to compound. So basically what it does is, like, the efficient way to do it is to unstake the position, then you have to take those Topaz rewards and swap them into both assets that you need to compound the position. Then you need to add liquidity to the LP, and then you need to restake the LP. And again, if I just, let's look at a new one, right? Let's just say compound my USDT sol position. So let's take a look at the transactions that it's doing. So propose compound rewards into your USDT sol. Okay, so let's review. So you can see here what this is doing, right? So it's unstaking, it's doing both of those swaps that I mentioned, it's increasing liquidity, and then it's restaking. So if this position was not in my Topaz AI wallet, which is just a smart contract that's secure, that's associated with my main wallet, if it was not in my Topaz AI wallet, I would have to click to approve every single one of these steps individually. And actually, there's more steps, right? There's actually like approvals that have to happen. So basically, these are like the 5 main steps, but there's actually like other setup steps as well. So you'd have to be clicking approve, 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 approve on your wallet. Having a smart contract that is only controllable by you, that gets deployed automatically, that's basically your Topaz Prizm wallet or your Topaz AI wallet, it just allows us to batch a lot of different things together to make your life easier. But you're still in 100% control of everything, right? So this can't get executed unless I literally go here and I go sign and execute, right? So let's go ahead and execute this. And again, I'll show you guys the transaction after. So let's go look at this on BSC scan. Let's refresh it because everything didn't load in. And you can see that, it had to unstake and restake, and then it had to add, had to add liquidity, it had to swap some stuff. So you can see all these things. This would have taken me quite a few transactions to do manually. I have to sign a message 2 times to my wallet when I try to Prizm. So because Prizm has memory related to you and your positions, you should only have to, basically when you first start talking to Prizm, you have to sign a message just to confirm that it's actually you using your wallet. So I'm not sure what you mean when you say you have to sign a message 2 times. So I'll need a bit more details on this. I don't know if you're talking about when you submit a transaction. When you submit a what's the token I have in my wallet here that I could use? Let's see. Let's use broccoli. So let's just say Zap 400 broccoli. Broccoli. How you spell broccoli? Zap 400 broccoli into the BNB USDT LP. So this is one where I don't think I've used broccoli before with this, so it's gonna make me sign 2 things because I have to. So actually, because I'm using Topaz ID, this is actually really clever. So if you're not using Topaz ID, this actually would be 2 transactions, right? So I have to do an approval on broccoli, and then I have to submit the actual transaction. Because I'm using Topaz ID, it's going to bundle those 2 things together, right? If I'm not using Topaz ID, this would definitely be signing 2 separate transactions. When I ask a question, message pops up to sign, then I have to use passkey, then I have to ask the question again, then sign a message to get my question answered. Yeah, let's maybe discuss that one in Telegram. I mean, I've used this so much, I've never had that problem. You shouldn't have to. Oh, you know what? I'm not sure if I've gone through that process with the one that I have the passkey. But I mean, whether you have multi-factor authentication or not, that should just be an extra step that you have to do, right? So, I mean, a message sign should be the exact same either way, just with one small extra step in the middle. But anyways, yeah. So actually, let's go ahead and execute this. I already just canceled that. I guess I can't do it now. All right, I gotta fix that. Let's see if I do that now. Okay, now I can do it. So let's go ahead. So that was so basically it's going to batch the approval with the transaction. So it's going to zap Forerunner Broccoli into a new position. So again, you guys can see that I basically created this position by zapping Broccoli out of my Topaz ID wallet and into an LP position. And just to, again, we got to figure out how to clarify this just to make it a little bit simpler for users. Because we're showing Topaz ID, or sorry, Topaz AI positions in liquidity, which I think is important. But see, like, I didn't know I needed an AI wallet. It's like, this is where some of the confusion comes from, because again, this all stemmed from like a question that we got about, do I need to fund my Topaz AI wallet? I'd think of it more like a helper smart contract, right? It's a contract that can hold positions on your behalf to give you more capabilities with them. But it's not something that you have to fund. It's something that when you're just setting things up with the AI agent, it's going to just automatically, some things it's going to send back to your wallet, some things it's going to hold in the AI wallet. Keep in mind, all these positions are 100% yours. This is the one that I just set up. If I want to, I can transfer this position to my wallet right now. And this is going to send the position right to my wallet. So, the positions aren't permanently in the AI wallet. They're just there for easier management. If you use the AI wallet to set up a position, it's assuming that you're going to be using that AI wallet to manage the position. So basically that position just lives in your AI wallet until you exit the position or until you transfer to your wallet. So, let's actually refresh this. So you can see now I have, oops. So now this position is just in my wallet, unstaked. So I basically just transferred this position right to my wallet. So I guess and again, so now if I was trying to compound this, or first I'd have to stake it to earn some rewards, and then I'd compound it afterwards. Again, this would be like a 5 or 6 transaction process that would be very manual and it would take like 15 minutes. So, I'd want to have this position managed by Topaz AI if I'm using AI to interact with my positions. So, and again, we need to figure out a better way to make this simpler. Is there a migrate all Topaz positions to Topaz ID wallet function? See, that's the whole problem, right? Is that regular wallets are limited in what they can do, right? So it's like if you have, say, 5 staked LP positions in your main wallet, there's no way to get around the fact that your wallet has to sign a transaction to unstake the position and then another one to transfer it to the AI wallet, right? So there's basically 0 ways around having like 2 transactions per position in that situation. That's kind of like the whole problem that the AI wallet's aiming to solve, right? Is that, if you have 5 positions in the AI wallet and you want to exit them all and transfer those funds to your wallet, you can do all that in one step, which I'll demonstrate that right now just for fun. So I'll just say, I've got 3 positions here. Say exit all 3 of my LP positions and convert assets to BNB. Right, so this is something where, well, I guess because I refreshed, I had to re-sign to confirm my identity. So exit your 3 managed LP positions and convert all proceeds to BNB in one transaction you sign. Okay, so too little received. So one of the ones I'm trying to exit probably has like too little liquidity. Which one would that maybe be? I think on broccoli, I don't think we have too much liquidity. Anyways, let's do that. That's slightly different. So what I'm gonna actually, what I just did on my keyboard is I just pressed up to get my last prompt. Exit all 3 of my LP positions and send the assets back to my wallet. So this time I'm not going to convert it to BNB. I'm just going to exit them. Again, that's something that it wouldn't. I'm in like a couple LPs here that are not super big on Topaz, so I think that was the issue there. Yeah, so here this is working fine, right? So this is going to send me all of these assets. And yeah, you can just see it's unstaking and remove liquidity, unstake, remove liquidity, unstake, remove liquidity. And we can do this. And these are all going to actually go right into my Topaz AI, or sorry, my Topaz ID, right? So this is basically exiting the position out of Topaz AI, right? It's like, it never keeps anything in Topaz AI unless it like, there's a reason for it to be there. So again, like LP positions that you create with Topaz AI will live in Topaz AI wallet, which is your own wallet that can only be controlled by you. But it's just a smart contract where, again, it gives the AI the ability to do more advanced types of transactions on those. But again, like I said, we need to figure out a better way to make this simpler to understand and simpler to use. Because I think these questions are just regular questions that people would have unless they heard me explaining all this, but obviously not everybody's going to watch, an hour-long AMA. So we need to figure out how to better label this stuff, how to better explain it, how to better unify it into one experience. Got a couple decent ideas about it, but yeah, I mean, if you guys have any ideas of how this could be laid out to just make it more obvious to you, obviously, I always like hearing ideas from the community. Actually, I guess while I'm here, something else that you guys might have noticed is we set a minimum TVL here with a 1K set as default. So you can just click that if you want to get rid of that, just to see, all the options of all different TVL levels. That's in addition to our existing filters that we already had. You could use a custom amount as well. So you can say, I want to see everything over, $100 of TVL. Oh, we already have 100. That's why I do 150. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that was confusing me for a second. Are you the only dev on Topaz? No, I mean, I'm the core dev. I'm the one that, does all the contract work, but we've got other devs on the team. I'd say I'm definitely the primary dev. But yeah, so yeah, definitely Topaz Prizm, definitely a great system because of all the different things that are possible with our DEX. Having every aspect of what Topaz Prizm can do being as seamless as possible is going to take some time. Our system prompt that we use for our Topaz agent, which powers Topaz Prizm, that's going to be something that is improving almost every single day, and it will keep improving. So the quality of your responses are going to keep improving. I'm not sure if I mentioned this last AMA, but we actually upgraded the model that our agent's running on. It's running on ChatGPT or GPT 5.6 now, so the very latest OpenAI model. I mean, we're not running on the Sol variation of that, which is their highest end one. We're running on the cheapest one that we can run that gave us great results, like very almost identical to the highest model. So we went through like a couple 100 million tokens, doing a lot of testing around the models just to see like, most importantly, I wanted our quality to be perfect. So went with the cheapest one that I could get us to, where we still had basically like over 99% of the highest quality that we'd seen no matter which model we used. So I'm sure that's contributing to a lot of the better responses that you guys would be seeing from Topaz Prizm. So yeah, again, so if you guys have any ideas about how potentially this could be explained in an easier way, I'd love to hear it. We got some ideas internally and some things that we're playing around with, but overall, I'm really happy with Topaz Prizm. Hope you guys are too. Hope you guys are playing around with Topaz ID. And yeah, actually, a lot more is coming to Topaz ID. I don't know if I've went over these changes in detail in the past, but I did completely like redesign Topaz ID. So now like, the menu is a lot more compact. We got, just trying to organize things a little bit better here and kind of making way for a huge new feature that's coming. That's actually already kind of built. It's just hidden behind a feature flag. But, we've got a people directory here. We've got, a place where you can discover apps. thoughts on adding more RWA tokens like you did with SpaceX as pools on Topaz? Yeah, I mean, I'm fully open to it. I think ultimately we need to, any token that's going to get us more action, more volume, more fee generation is the tokens that we need to add. I think just as a DEX, it's more just about like, what tokens are going to bring us volume as opposed to like if there's a lot of buzz around RWA, like real world asset tokens, and that's where we're going to get volume from, then certainly that would make sense to add those types of tokens in. Yeah, I mean, if you guys have any ideas about which ones might be good to add, definitely happy to add those. I mean, they got to deliver some. I mean, again, anybody can create any pool on Topaz, so it's not something that the team has to do. Although, like if we are to incentivize it with the foundation positions, of course, that's something the team has to do. But yeah, I mean, anybody's free to create any pool at any time or make us suggestions for incentivized pools. So if you have any other tokens in mind there, I'm happy to hear about them. So yeah, we've got a new discover section. We've got a search section where, now you can search for people, tokens, apps. I guess every single app mentions the word Topaz somewhere. But this is just the very beginning for Topaz ID. We got a huge new feature coming to it, which is going to be really fun and something that is going to be really engaging and it's going to get everybody wanting a Topaz ID and to be very active within the Topaz ID ecosystem. So look forward to that. It's basically on the verge of being able to be released. I just got to solidify some numbers and do a little bit more fine tuning, but it's basically ready to go. I've already talked about the hackathon. Let's quickly go over the bonus lock. So I think we were on 30% bonus last AMA. We're already, wow, we're going through this quick. So we're on tier 6 of 7. So, and we've officially had more than 60% of the total bonus amount already having been distributed. So we've had over 30 million out of the 50 million distributed of the 50 million that we've allocated towards this bonus promotion. So again, only 20 million more bonus VE Topaz to go. So I expect this to go fairly quick. And yeah, great. It just really shows the interest in locking Topaz and, getting this bonus. Really, really happy with this promotion and how it's all working out. I mean, I'll show you guys real quick. I'll just lock up all my Topaz, which I always do every time I come here. Lock with bonus. Go ahead and approve. And we are done. Actually, I mean, there's been a bunch of other site improvements. So, like for example, you can now see what so actually, I did improve the design of our VE Topaz as well as actually a while ago. I think I must have talked about this, but I also improved our V3 CL position NFT metadata images. So this is like what our CL positions look like now. Instead of just showing Topaz in the middle, it actually shows your range and how many assets are inside, and if it's in range, the assets, and some different colors depending on the assets. I did something similar over for the locks page, where I improved the design of the artwork. And yeah, because this is Topaz AI, I can't click on it, but if you click on your lock, you can actually click here to expand it and see more details. For my LP issue, I did try a hard refresh and disconnect my wallet, log back in. I will post there. I'm getting in the whale chat. Okay. If I'm in a relay, can I add to my lock still, or I have to take it out of the relay before locking more Topaz into it? Yeah, there's no way to add to a lock that's in a relay. So you'd have to withdraw it from the relay and add to it and then redeposit it. I mean, a lot of guys like to do that anyways. They like to withdraw from the relay just to, for example, like I have a 217,000 VE Topaz here. I've earned 15,000. I mean, some guys just like to have those numbers combined together, so they just like to withdraw it and then they'll redeposit it. But I mean, if you're one of those guys that likes to do that, you can just withdraw it, then you can add to it, and then you can go ahead and redeposit it afterwards. Again, you can get to the relays right here. So I think that was this guy. And Topaz Maxi looks good. Acknowledge and deposit. So of course you would just, the difference is you would just add to your lock in the before redepositing it. I'm just going to refresh that. So that it didn't immediately pick up the fact that that lock was now in a relay. So now we're good to go. So there we are. So now those two numbers that you saw before are now combined just into one. And yeah. So keep in mind, guys, we are heavily incentivizing the Topaz Maxi relay. So that's really where you want to be, especially at these Topaz prices. Getting that Topaz, having it, because of where the current Topaz price is, all the rewards that the relay is earning or it's buying Topaz, it's getting a lot of Topaz in exchange for those rewards that it received. So it's able to buy a lot of Topaz to give this a huge APR, as well as we're adding additional incentives into this APR. We did over 1 million Topaz of extra incentives last epoch, and we're going to be doing something similar this epoch as well to make sure that for anyone that's looking to grow their VE Topaz as fast as possible, as big as possible, this is going to be the best way to do it. So of course, like with this, we have to compensate for the fact that there's a 25% locking bonus if you do this manually. So we're incentivizing this enough. We're putting enough extra rewards into this to more than make up for the 25% that you would get if you did this manually, right? So like if you vote manually and take your rewards and buy Topaz and then use the 25% bonus, we're making sure that this is going to be more beneficial for you than doing that. So definitely, I think right now the smart move is just to throw your VE Topaz into the Topaz Maxi relay and just kind of let it cook and let it grow. I mean, you saw that. What did I have here? Like a 7% gain or something like that. I'm pretty sure that was just one epoch worth of rewards. It might have been two. I'm not sure when I claimed that last, but either way, huge gains there. So highly recommend the relays for all you guys. And for all you guys that are talking to others and getting other people into Topaz, it's an intricate, complicated protocol. The easiest way for you to get somebody else into Topaz is, hey, just buy Topaz. You get a 25% bonus lock in it, and you can throw it into Topaz Maxi Relay and gain over 100% APR there, compounding. So it's a great time to get people into Topaz and especially into the relays. So I think that's all I got for you guys for today. Again, I think one of the most important things is the strategy discussion that I had earlier, where it's just, this is, basically the performance of Topaz is to be expected based on these market conditions. The team is doing all kinds of different things to drum up momentum and to get more partnerships, more integrations, make things easier for user. We keep building. We have the hackathon coming up soon. And, again, at the same time, there's a lot the community can be doing to help Topaz and get the word out about Topaz and to support Topaz and the Topaz price. So yeah, definitely looking forward to a catalyst coming up in the near future. Whether that be a major integration with a huge partner, or maybe we can get the market's looking a little bit stronger. But it's just a matter of time until momentum turns the other way, and it's those that have been accumulating VE Topaz are going to be the big winners when inevitably that time comes. So anyways, any final questions here before we conclude for the day? I will say, while we're waiting for any more questions to come in, I was really expecting to have my new mic for this AMA. So I think I said last AMA that it was going to be my last AMA with the telemarketer headset, but unfortunately I had to do one more. I think that the package got lost or damaged or something like that, so I had to order another one. And it's actually coming today, but it didn't come early enough for the AMA. So I'm going to have my very similar setup to what I was using for the longest time for years there, with like a proper swing arm and mic and everything. That will definitely be set up for next AMA. All right, looks like no more questions are rolling in. You guys know how to find me in Telegram and on X. And yeah, look forward to seeing you guys next week. And yeah, let's keep pushing. Let's keep keep the excitement up around Topaz. Keep providing liquidity. Keep locking that Topaz for VE Topaz, and keep spreading the word about Topaz. So enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week, and let's go Topaz.